of a field in open countryside, what looks like a giant inflatable. The blue and white tent marks the spot where today police started digging as part of the search that has so far uncovered 9 sets of human remains at Cromwell Street in Gloucester, 15 miles away. Shortly afterwards, the first barrow loads of earth were removed from the tent. A team of 10 officers are removing the soil layer by layer to a depth of some 3 feet. They're anxious not to damage anything that may lie buried there.
After 10 days of interrogation, police had turned their attention to the whereabouts of Fred's first wife, Rena, his stepdaughter, Charmaine, and his childminder and early lover, Anne McFall.
March 5th. In private consultation thereafter, he had remembered who Anne was. She was a female who obviously meant a lot to him in Scotland. She had visited him in the field at Kempley. She was buried in the pond.
Speaking to his solicitor, West waxed lyrical about how he met Anne McFall.
And there's this young lady sat on the step crying her pissing eyes out. It looked like a tramp. And I stopped almost opposite her before I actually seen her. And when I pushed the window open, you know, them great big windows, I pushed it open, and so I called her over. I said, "What's up?" And anyway, she turned around. She was fucking beautiful, and she was absolutely in rags, and her hair all matted, and the long fucking hair. And but she looked beautiful to me anyway. So I got talking to her, and I said, "Do you want ice cream?" "Yes," she said. So I made her up a bloody sundae, one of them big sundaes and that. And I said, "Well, come and sit in the van and have it." And Jelly got talking to her, and I said, "You can come with me if you like for the rest of the day," you know. And then I got to find out what the problem was, that her mother was an alcoholic, and her was selling her body for drink, Anne's. And I said, "Well, you got to get out of that, you know." I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll take you home with me." I said, "And I'll sort some of it out for you." Anyway, I took her home and told Rena all about it. And Rena said, "Yeah," she said, "you can stay here, it's all right." So Anne had a bath and cleaned herself up, and Rena washed her hair for her, and she looked bloody gorgeous then, you know. It was long, silky hair.
Because he was having all these thoughts about Anne McFall, I said to him, "Well, why don't you write it? It'll be good for you to get it off your mind, and it will be good, so it'll improve your writing." And that's what he started to do.
I was loved by an angel, Anna. I met Anna in Glasgow, Scotland. She was a children nanny. She worked for my wife, Reen. I had nothing to do with Anna as she was a young girl. She always made me a cup of tea when I came in and my dinner, and always gave me a beautiful little smile as a happy and joyful young lady.
This most curious document gives us a way of trying to see the world from his point of view, what the internal psychological processes were that gave rise to this series of killings.
In 1965, an event occurred that would have a domino effect on West's life and bring him back to the fields of Muchmarcle. Fred West accidentally killed a child. West was on his ice cream round when he ran over a 4-year-old boy. The death led to a break in his marriage. In December 1965, West abandoned his wife in Glasgow and took his children back home to Muchmarcle. But West had to hand the 2 girls over to social services until he found someone to look after 18-month-old Anna Marie and his stepdaughter Charmaine while he was at work. Anne McFall, the Glasgow waif he claimed to have found on the street, came to his rescue.
Then Anne turned up, out of the blue. Because what Anne had done had got my address from off Rena, without Rena knowing, and come down to find me. And that was great. Got the kids out. And And me and Anne started a relationship.
Within months, Fred West made Anne McFall pregnant.
Where Anne conceived her baby was on Robin Hood Hill, where the cheese rolling is. Because we lived below it. And we had to walk up the hill together. Up on the cheese hill. That's where Anne conceived her baby. Right in the middle of the fucking bank. I mean, we didn't even know where that was.
Fred used to come out home with her. And she was a sweet girl, I suppose you could. But she used to follow me around the garden like a puppy dog. And I mean, wasn't all that worried at the time. And then, of course, she went with Fred, and that was then. I never see her then.
I never touched Anne in my life. Never even laid a finger on her. I thought the world over. And anybody will tell you that. I would not have had an hair on her head moved.
The main account we have of Fred West's views of his first wife, Rena, are from the journal that he left as a prostitute and a drunkard who really breaks all the rules of what a conventional wife should be like. In contrast, he sees Anna McFall as what a woman really should be like, who's looking after her man.
She would chat to me always about the children and what they had been doing all day. She would clean up and go to bed. I would do my books and go to bed. Rena would come in 4, 5, 6 in the morning, mostly drunk, and just dropped on the bed.
His contact with Anna helps to emphasize for him the destructive qualities of Rena's life, although, of course, Fred doesn't have the insight to realize that he is living very much part of that very abusive lifestyle that Rena is carrying out and making money out of.
When Rena arrived unannounced to find her husband living with his pregnant girlfriend, West was worried. Rena might turn violent.
Oh, I see. One night we was at the pub and a bloke, well, I don't know whether he actually wanted to chat her up or what, but she just about had enough. And she warned him, and he said, you know, he wouldn't sort of take the warning, and that was it. Next thing, he was getting up off the floor. I mean, she did literally lay him out. I mean, fair do, she did pack a wallop, but otherwise she was very friendly.
Rena seized the opportunity of her return to take up prostituting in Gloucestershire. Anne McFall was soon put to work.
She was prostituting from the caravan. She was, God knows what wasn't going on. And then she had other girls with her, which went to these parties in the end, never seen them no more. Because that's what Anne was used for, was to mingle amongst these girls and sort out what they were, you know. They go and talk to these girls, you know, young girls just starting in the game, you know, 16, 17-year-olds, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. Where are you from? You're on the run, and all that. And once they get to know, oh, I'm run away from home or anything, you'll do. Come on, mates, pals, buddies. And they got them. And then they end up in Bristol or wherever. Whether they supplied them anywhere else, I don't know, but Bristol's the only place I know. And that was what Anne, and that's why Rena had come every so often and took her. But I wanted to stop this. I wanted to get Anne out of it. You know, but because she was a bit heavily pregnant. I mean, I didn't want Anne messed up with anything like that.
Anne McFall was last seen alive watching the 1967 Gloucester Carnival. She was heavily pregnant. West said he'd moved Anne McFall to another caravan site to keep her away from his wife. He was driving for a Gloucester abattoir when Anne was killed.
I got back to Sandhurst. Must have been about 11:30 at night. Right? I parked the lorry in the road because we had trouble with the lorry on the site because the smell of the hides and skins and stuff off them. So I parked on the road and I came through the back way, straight into the caravan.
In secret defense tapes, West claimed he found Rena and her Jamaican pimp, Rolf, at Anne McFall's caravan. There was a body in a suitcase.
There's Rolf and Rena in there. Rena's absolutely out of her brains. She hadn't got a clue what she was, what she'd done. Anne was put in a case, in a big suitcase. So of course I said, where's Anne? And Rolf said, come outside. So we went round the back of the caravan. And he said, Rena stabbed Anne. By mistake. Now I quite believe that. I don't think Rena would have done it absolutely deliberate. I think she was so drugged out of her brains and everything else, drink and God knows what, that she just stabbed Anne. So anyway, I said to Rolf, what the bloody hell are we going to do? And he said, we're going to take her and put her on the tip. On Gloucester tip. I said, no, you. I said, no, you ain't. I said, you're not going to put her on that tip. By this time, I am literally brain dead. I mean, my mind just gone. I mean, I hadn't got a clue what I was thinking, what I was saying, or nothing. So anyway, I said, no, the only place you can put her is in our special place at Marco. So he said, well, that'll do. So we drove out there. I went down there, and me and him dug the hole together. And Reno was sat in the car. I was watching Anne in the car. Then we both walked back up the field. And then him and Rena went down and put Anne in and covered her up and come back up to me. I was sat on that tank. You know, the tank just outside the gate. I was sat on there. So splashing water in my face. And that was it. And went back to Gloucester. And the case went, whoever it was went.
Anne thought the world of me. She was mine. She belonged to me. I mean, Rena wasn't belonged to me. Rena belonged to whoever she was with at the moment.
I mean, Rena always looked after me. Don't get me wrong. I mean, she never done anything in any way.
Well, the allegation is that you've killed her, isn't it?
Yeah.
Detectives leading the Bodies in the Garden inquiry in Gloucestershire are becoming extremely concerned about a Lanarkshire woman and her daughter. Rena Costello used to live in Hospital Street in Coatbridge, from where our crime correspondent Jeff Brown now reports live.
Nothing's been heard of Rena Costello or her daughter, Charmaine, for the best part of 20 years. And despite a nationwide appeal, neither of them has been in touch.
But as police appealed for news of Rena Costello, Fred West revealed she was already dead. West told one of many stories about how his wife was killed.
Anyway, she drank us all there was no yesterday. And she was well drunk. And when Rena got the drink in her, she got very loving. And she started mucking about that. So anyway, that was how we decided to go out to the field, to our favourite spot. So anyway, we got out there, and we stopped under that tree, and then I woke her up, because she was sleeping. I woke her up, and we got out. And we made love against it by the tree there, just in the edge of the field there, just around there, back of that big tree, there's a big oak tree. And we made love again there, and then we went back to the car. And then I lost the head with her a bit. And we had a right set to and a right row there. And that was when she ended up getting killed against the gate. Just smashed her against the gate. Then I didn't know what to do then. It was the first time I've been ever mixed up in anything like that. So the only thing I could think of was to bury her in the field. I mean, it was in the middle of summer, and the ground was rock hard. So I know what was in there as well. One of those, it's like a pickaxe and it's got like an axe on the one side of it and like a blade on the other side of it. It's like a pickaxe. I cut it out, chopped it out, knocked out with that, and I sold it out to his mate. Then the problem was, it wasn't half big enough. Because by this time, Rena was laid just inside the gate from the corner there. Anyway, I went down and picked her up and carried her up. And then I realised that I couldn't get in there.
Defence file, April 12. He therefore decided to dismember the body, cutting off the head and legs. The arms were left on the torso. When asked what happened next, Fred said that he filled the hole back in. He said the hole was in the turf at the edge of the field, and when he finished, it looked like it hadn't been touched. He said that he washed himself down as he had no shirt on.
So anyway, I washed. I got back in the car. I lit a cigarette. I just sat there wondering what to do. And then I went and gathered all her clothes up and tied it all up. See this fire in the distance all the time glowing. And I drove down to that. I took the clothes out, walked up, I jumped over the ditch into the edge and threw it over into the middle of the fire. And what was around my leg, I just chucked it. So that was the end of that.
10 days into the 1994 murder inquiry, Fred West took investigators to where he'd buried his first wife.
Defence file, March 5. We looked at Ordnance Sheet 149. The hill is called the Finger Post. There are woods upon the right. Fred said he used to work these fields when he was young. NB. He buried her by a tree in the hedgerow, since, being a farmer myself, he did not wish to destroy the crop. So this was a spot where corn would not grow. D.C. Morgan marked the spot by driving a stake into the ground.
He was taking off the handcuffs and allowed to wander to his spiritual bit again and feel where the bodies are, and that's how he used to say where the bodies were, that he could feel them.
He could feel she was by this tree. He had been able to feel the warmth of her skin. He believes in the spirit being around. Rena had been in a full evening dress that was white and shimmering, and wearing evening shoes. She had a black bra, just showing.
Rena come fucking straight into me, man. You know, I mean, that was something else.
I should felt her presence.
Oh, shit, that was something else, I was.
She'd given him a kiss, like only Rena could. This morning he had felt Rena kiss him. Her face was more vivid. She was so real. He could feel the heat of her body. Then she started to drift out. It's when they're going out. It's as though they're taking the whole of my insides. They drift away.
This feeling of bodies coming out of the ground, and I didn't know I had that.
That's a very strange sort of psychic experience.
That was terrible, that was. But with Rena, I mean, I tried to hold it until I could get back to the cells. But I mean, halfway back, I just had to let go.
Police would now begin their longest search for evidence in the fields Fred West had claimed to have suffered a haunting. On Sunday, April the 10th, Fred West's solicitor had just been to a Cheltenham laundrette. and he learnt of a major development.
The reason I'd specifically gone to the laundrette on April the 10th was to wash Fred Smalls. Upon inquiry, although the Home Office sent out a hairdresser to cut his hair, they declined to take in his dirty washing. Well, quite frankly, as an act of common humanity and decency, plainly, these things have to be done. And so I lobbed them in with my washing. I got a call from Superintendent Bennett that afternoon on the basis that they believed that they had found Rena. We were up to 9 murders at that point. And the next day he'd wanted to go out to Campley in an effort to find Anna McFall's remains. But at this point they believed they had found Rena.
The solemn climax to 2 weeks of digging in the field at Muchmarkle. A box shrouded in black was this afternoon used to take away the human remains found buried there. It's the 10th body uncovered during the investigation that began 15 miles away at Cromwell Street. Just 2 hours earlier, the Home Office pathologist had confirmed the remains were human and, like the other 9 found in Gloucester, were female.
And that's about all I can tell you, really, until we do a lot more to them. Obviously got to be cleaned up and examined and a lot of further tests.
Normally, the problem is, who is this body? But when you've got not 2 or 3 or 4, but many, and they're all female, roughly in the same age groups, with 1 or 2 exceptions, but mostly in the same age group. And so you've got very, very similar characteristics. This one is Rena West, and again, luckily, smiling face, that's the crucial thing. All the teeth, they're all level across the end here, so they're slightly unusual. That actually might just be a denture, but that's the sort of things we'd have to look at, try and work out which. And also, we've got good, skin folds, good shape of face. That's an ideal sort of picture.
The return to the fields he'd worked as a boy and the reliving of his first killings had a deep effect on Fred West. He described being haunted by spirits of the dead, just as he had done